Hello, so welcome to another episode. Um, where did I leave you in the last one? Antibes having a bit of a nightmare. So the nightmare got worse. Like where I left you in the last episode, I gone a few days where I couldn't charge my phone. I couldn't charge the engine wouldn't start because the battery went flat and all of these things. Um, and yeah, I was coming back to the boat on a night time. It was dark, didn't have any power. I've recently bought like a really cheap little watch. I think it was €7, just because, I don't want to be in a position again not knowing what time it was. I don't know why that's so important, but there was something about just being sat on the boat in the dark, no electric on anything, just not even knowing what time it was. Like on a boat, often I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and I was like, is it 2 in the morning? Is it 4 in the morning? I'm not sure. Um, but anyway, we was going over to land. I took the engine starter battery over to see if I could get that charged, and I tried to go charge this phone, which I've lost count of phones. We should have. I'm gonna go back through all the videos and see if I can work out. I keep telling people I'm on like practice over the last year, not including the last 3 months, but there was a point where I was on a month a phone for various reasons, and this one is the one I'd bought before when I was in Cannes, I think, and it didn't drop or anything. I bought it used, and I think the battery just went faulty. It didn't get any water in. There was no reason for it not to be charging. But I was over on the land trying to charge it. Engine batteries, I've learnt now you don't get to just go plug them in and snap. They'll charge quite quick. I think I've mentioned before when I was in Saint Tropez, I probably threw a fairly good battery away that I probably didn't need to. It probably just needed to have a proper long charge. But I know now. So anyway, I'd taken it over by like 6 o'clock when the place I was charging it at the fuel dock in Antibes. That closed at 6 and it still weren't charged, so I left it there overnight. And my phone, I went to go and have a beer and plug it in and see if it charged. Didn't charge. Um, didn't really want to go back to the boat. I went for a few beers, and then like the the next day, the dinghy engine actually got stolen. Um, and when they've stolen the dinghy engine, they've also like I think tried to steal a dinghy, but they've deflated it while it was like next to the water. I don't know, and then they've somehow got like water in the tubes of the dinghy, and then they've realised it's too heavy to pull the dinghy. They took the little bench off the dinghy and the little bag. So on top of everything else that was going on, that was just not ideal. Uh, I weren't in an ideal frame of mind. I, I went to go try find a pump. To two people who were like greenies, you call them. They were looking for like yacht work. They actually helped me, and then we moved. They helped me get the boat over. I mean, could half pump it up, but the pump I borrowed from Port d'Antibes weren't really good. It was really difficult to try and get the air in, um, and it was obviously full of water. And then it just weren't up properly. By the time I got it back to the dinghy, it was fairly deflated again. Sorry, by the time I got it back to the boat, it was fairly deflated again. And then I had to get out of there, and Port Antibes would have been fairly expensive, so I decided to head back towards Gulf One. Um, and they're looking for work, so I said they were happy enough to come like have a sail over there, so they came. We sailed over there. It took all day because we weren't sailing in any sort of ideal scenario. I don't really have any good footage of it. Um, it is what it is. It was a bad day. So anyway, from there, got to Gulf One, dropped them off quite late. Um, Ideally, I wanted to stay in the fuel. in the port, like, but I would have paid, but there was a man came over saying, "You need to move, you need to move." He was shouting at me, and I was like, "It's 12 o'clock. Is there a place somewhere?" And there was places in that port on that day. I found out in the morning, but he just told me I had to leave. So I put the engine back on, and I went out and anchored just outside of there. But it was really dark, and I was having to like maneuver between like boats, and none of them had a mast light on or anything. Dropped the anchor. Then the next morning, I woke up and like all the reality of everything was there, and I was like laid just on the top of the boat thinking, what do I do? In the end, I had to like get up, and I went um, back in towards that port, and I asked next door at Gulf One if they had any places, and they said they did for a bit. So I took the boat into the port, and for the first few days of being there, I then quickly realised I'd also like lost my bank card and found, but I didn't even know I'd lost it. I tend to like use cash, so because I use cash, it's only then when I run out of cash and think, where's my bank card? And I looked on my app and realised someone had actually been using it. In the end, the bank told me that it wasn't suspicious activity, even though I know I didn't go and spend it was used near Nice. I haven't been anywhere near Nice in McDonald's on a €41 McDonald's. Like it was just annoying. And then because the phone wasn't charging, I couldn't even access the app for it. Or it was just a nightmare. So that's the first part of. I think I was in Gulf One for maybe 5 6 days. And the first part of it was just, how am I going to get this sorted? So anyway, the video picks up from me trying to solve the battery charger, because when I was bringing it back over in the half inflated dinghy, it got wet, and I obviously needed to charge the battery still. So yeah, that's where we're at. So step one was to get the battery charged. Right. Oh, there is water on there. And especially on the display above. Right, let's see if we pour the water out. That's now off the display. I feel like hairdryer is going to be a quicker way than rice. Once upon a time, I used to like dry my beard to make it look a bit neater, and I had the hairdryer here, and it blew up. And ever since, I had a bit of a phobia of them because luckily the way it was facing, it didn't, but it could have done. Anyway, I just make sure I hold them away from me now. But when that puffed of smoke when I first turned it on, it made me jump a little bit. Alright, so at the time I was trying to fix that battery charger. I had like a little portable phone that somebody had lent me, luckily, because I still didn't have access to the bank, the app, or anything. And I was messaging a guy who I know now because I've been here a while, but I didn't know him back then, to see if they had like a phone I could borrow to put an app on to get money that way. And yeah, so he was just, because some bad wind was coming too, so he was telling me where he was going for it, over to Cap d'Antibes, which is the place I'd already looked at, which seemed like it would be the best place. Not that I wanted to go back in the direction of Antibes, but yeah, that's what I was doing. A bit of corrosion, so I'm not like fully hopeful. I'm by no means an electrician, but this don't look good. But we're going to carry on getting it dry. Plugging it in is going to be the scary thing. After electrocuting my phone God knows how many times the other day, electric shocks aren't fun, are they? On that note about electric shocks, though, I've never actually got one yet, touch wood, don't know why I'm saying this, from doing actual work on the boat. So I've never got one from like touching the wrong thing or like that. I have a few times accidentally touched two wires that shouldn't have touched and had a bit of a bang, but actually electrocuted myself on the boat, not yet. Right, back to hair drying. I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared to try and plug this in. Oh, here goes. Well, now we know, don't we? Okay, so we don't have a battery charger. Usually that I wouldn't have captured, so I'm kind of glad you got to see that. Okay, back to the drawing board. Right, there's a lot of boats in this port. Someone probably has a battery charger I could borrow. Was that still plugged in? No. That could have ended very badly. Right. So we're going to save them bits of wire. And then battery charger that's lasted me a good 2 years. Rest in peace. They're not cheap to replace either. Anyway, cloud. We're moving forwards. So we are gonna just, before we throw him in the bin, rest in peace, we've just stripped off them two wires because they're gonna be quite useful. So to the bin. They're not going to be cheap. That's not going to be cheap to replace either. Right, next step. Hi Fab, it's Jay. How are you doing? I've had easier weeks, but yeah, it's still on the boat, so it could be worse. Okay. But they called back. It's not a weird one. Like, it probably might turn out to be a fairly big help. But yeah, he put me on to this lady who spoke English, and she said, I explained what had happened, and then she said what she can tell me or wants to tell me is like how they could probably easily help, but that's not going to prevent another crisis, which is right, but that's a story for a separate video. For this one, feel I'm not trying to leave you hanging there. It's just, yeah, it's something I'm working on, another video, and it should be quite a good video. I don't know, but yeah. But I was just mentioning it because obviously that's where I left you with they were going to call back. I'm looking at like the rest of the list now, and I'm trying to think, you know, I've just thought like solar battery, but I know that the solar panel's not going to recharge the battery until I can get it charged enough with a charger. So then it's quite easy then to be like, oh well, what's the point in doing that then? But if if I got to leave on the 16th, that's not an option. I guess I have to just do these little things that seem pointless because I haven't got long, and if I've got to go back to anchor really unprepared, then I guess I at least need as many of the little things to be done so that the bigger things don't add to the little things. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, don't you? Anyway, other than that, on the list, it's more like just some personal things I have to do. So I've got like wire, solar panel, and then some YouTube uploads. But as much as for me, they feel like a priority sometimes in this current situation, is sitting here and editing some videos a priority. It's hard to then not make it a priority because that's what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? That's sailing and making YouTube videos. So I am committed to that. But that would be the easiest thing to do now, to put the laptop down, sit, edit a YouTube video. I'm behind with them, so where at the time of this I've posted like episode 14, but after that I don't really have anything edited yet. All of them ones happened during a month whilst in Cannes / Feel Summer, where I felt a bit better than I feel now, so I've had the motivation to do it, I guess. And then yeah, when battery problems happen or I'm at anchor or whatever else, it gets hard to edit YouTube videos because it's hard to keep the laptop charged. And then I can do it when I'm in a port quite happily most of the day, but then I need to get the other things ready. So yeah, at the start of this one we said it was going to be shoestring struggle. It is a shoestring struggle to the maximum. But I've done my cloud thing, which I can't believe I'm like sharing that with people, but I keep trying to look at it. So I've just done it when I've picked the GoPro up and I've wandered around the boat for a little bit thinking, what should I do, what should I do, what should I do? And then I nearly got off the boat to just go wander, but that's not obviously getting outdone. Looked up at it and went, right, yeah, it's bad, you're stuck, but not doing anything ain't gonna help. So I'll wire the solar panel because give it one last try. Maybe it does start charging it. Maybe if it's got all day, it'll give it a bit of a boost, or the remaining half of a day. And even if not, we know it's not working and we need to work out how to make it work, because we do have a solar panel that does work. I've checked the reading on it, so it's just somewhere with the wires. But the last time I tried some thicker wires and it seemed like it started to work but then stopped. So that's what I'm going to do next. So back to real time for a minute, because I'm going back through all this footage, which is now quite a long time ago. And yeah, so I ended up, I remember I did actually sit and I did that YouTube video, whichever one it was at the time. I can't remember exactly which one it would have uploaded at the time. But I sat and I put the video onto YouTube, and the following morning I'd looked and someone had watched it and actually sent a donation. I can't remember exactly which one now, but I would have thanked at the time, as it happened. But it was a massive boost because obviously I was saying in the video there I shouldn't have really been prioritising it. But I've said loads of times, the motivation of put it on YouTube helped a lot to actually pick the camera up there. If I hadn't have actually filmed any of that, and quite a lot around that time, I don't even know if I'd really have any recollection of what was going on, to be honest, because like after a winter of like mostly stuff going wrong, I'm not saying it went wrong the whole time, but quite a lot went wrong during the winter and it had come to a head. So this episode you're watching now is after the bad episode you'd seen in Antibes, and then this is then when that already seemed really bad in the video before this. The thing happened with the dinghy and everything, and yeah, this is like the aftermath of it. But yeah, I do remember I did actually from there go edit the video, and then I ended up in a really big rush. I needed to leave the port. The cloud I keep mentioning because I don't actually think I've put it anywhere in the video. After going out and having the whole thing I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I I was just struggling to do anything. Like everything seemed really impossible to do. I didn't have any phone, didn't have any access to any money because of my card, etc., etc., and all the things I mentioned. And I just kept finding myself just wandering and thinking and wandering and thinking, and I just weren't getting stuff done. And in the end, it's going to sound absolutely crazy, but I painted a black cloud up on here, and because it was visual and I saw it, every time I'd stop or I'd sit on the floor and felt like just getting off the boat, I'd look up and go, no, do something. It was short-lived, to be honest, because after a while I was like, I don't want to have this black cloud drawn on the wall. But during that around about a week after all the bad things had happened in Antibes, I'd write a list and I'd put that many things on the list as black dots, and then there's still like I've not fully got it off the wall yet. And every time I do one of the things, I'd wipe it off the wall, and I was going off the theory that I didn't want to have loads of black dots on the ceiling. It might sound absolutely crazy, but that's the honest truth. So I may as well tell you it as it was. But yeah, then we move on to like the next day, and we had to leave back out into some bad weather that was coming up.
So this blue solar one, if I wire that in, which I did the last time, and I've used some thicker cables now in case that was the problem, when I wire that one in, it will blink green, blinking, which is battery life, regardless of how long it's on. So I don't know if it's because the battery's low, it protects it. This one, the last time, now that we've completely cut out that, and I actually looked how much I paid for that that thing, and it was 192 euros, which is really annoying because it's broke. But we're going to bypass that because it doesn't seem to be controlling the batteries properly. So because of that, we're going to just use the cheapest one we've got, because the last time that cut out the power once it went low. So that's what the problem was before. This weren't cutting out the power, it was allowing me to use as much as I wanted, but then the battery was getting too low. So if we wire the solar panel into this one and see if it starts to charge, that's step one. So let's do that. So we've wired in some makeshift ones, so we're going to need to get some bigger. We're going to need to get some bigger ones because these two are a bit small. Really want to get that sorted properly. I've said it in a previous video, but for today, let's just see if we can get power going into that big battery, because at least then, if we can, we haven't got the worry of having to get a battery charger before going. Well, not before going, because we've learned it's not the ideal way to charge once you're out. So let's wire it in. It says on here to go load first. That's already wired in because we never disconnected the load from that one. Then the battery. So we have positive. So which side was the positive?
So I'm just recording a voiceover here because I'm trying to get some memory off the laptop by getting these videos on, and all I do is I spend the rest of the afternoon trying a few different ways of rewiring the two solar controllers I've got and seeing if I can get one of them to work. And then after doing it for ages, the light didn't come on the solar panel part anyway, and for a little bit it said it was charging at a really, really low number, but I didn't honestly really know what I was looking at. I didn't really know how to use the multimeter properly, so in the end we didn't actually make any progress with it. So I can sum that up in 52 seconds rather than 20 minutes.
Recorded a lot of waffling today because this is like going to be the third time I've had to plug the GoPro in to upload from the SD card. I think we've sussed it. I think so. I had all the things off, all the fuses, and connected to the load part of the solar controller. So with them off, that should be showing nothing. Okay, so this isn't going to fully explain the problem, but it was showing like 0.20, and it was jumping around, so that must mean somewhere something's wrong. So that's what we're going to have to solve next. However, I've then turned the navigation lights on, but they take quite a bit more power than the anchor light does, and then that was taking out like 0.80, which again is quite a bit, and something probably not right with that. And actually the temporary fix I did for them at the front might be the problem. That might be the problem. I put the anchor light on though for some reason, and then it's showing the load out to be 0. But if I was to turn the light on, does it still come on? Oh no. No. Right. So what's happened is I've, on one of them, something's blown. But that's good, because that's going to help us work it out. But now that that's not escaping any power because it's all, oh, this has stopped it. It was going back up, so it jumped to 11.4. I'm scared to check this again now. Come on. Where's my little prongs? 11.74, sorry. Which it's still showing. But it could well be, because well, it should be showing a little bit more by now. This is confusing it, not as much as it was before, but still 0.02. Nothing should be coming out of there, should it? Even with that though, that should still be going up if like 0.80 was going in. It's so confusing, this is. Do we just disconnect the load in general and see if that does something?
I don't know what to tell you. It was confusing. So it's only later on that we kind of made some sense of it. But yeah, that was the end of the day. It still wasn't working. But from there, went and actually somebody came and lent me the phone, which then enabled me to be able to access my banking app again. Alright, so thanks for watching. Obviously that episode is from back in, well, it's a few months ago. And coming up in the next episode, I have to leave and go into some strong winds for anchor, or some predicted strong winds for anchor. So in next week's episode, it's me leaving the port and pretty much the situation I was in. I'm gonna try upload that episode a bit sooner than next week, because I need to clear some room on the laptop, because to edit that last video has taken so many days, just because the laptop's running really slow. So when I'm trying to edit it, when I used to be able to edit, it'd show me the whole video. So if there's any bits in that where it looks like there's a bit of lazy editing, you know, like the camera crackles while I'm finishing picking up or something, then apologies. It's just because my laptop's running too slow to get like the to make it accurate, I guess. But yeah, that's what's coming up in next week's episode, or whenever I upload it. Obviously, I know that if I upload, that tends to be if I upload quite a few in quick succession. Obviously, I know people can't sit and watch them all, but obviously, if you want to watch when you can. I'd just like to say too, thank you to everyone who commented recently on the videos, especially last week's, because that, you know, it was quite a downbeat video, but you know, people reached out and that means a lot, really. So yeah, the next video is me getting ready to leave. Then I'm going to have a video coming up which is actually ready to upload, so it might even be up before the next one, but it's when I get to Anchor, and on a really small budget, I think about €80, that I needed to get food for like 20 days, so I've done a video on that. And then from there we actually have me surviving at Anchor and trying to fix all of them things that were broke, because we didn't really get anything fixed in this video while at Anchor. But some pretty good videos coming up. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. One last thing I forgot to mention. If you're interested in seeing what I've been doing recently, if you go on to, there's a Facebook page called Riviera Boat Tours, and to know you've got the right one, it's a picture of like a moon slash sun. I'll post a link in the description. But if you want to see, there's some photos on there of how I've been earning money recently. So if you want to see that, I'll post a link in the description below. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, I might, when I upload this video, only upload it in just general HD. There's not much going on in the video which requires, like, there's you're just watching me in a boat try and fix some electrics. So yeah, don't think that I'm good. Like, I will still record, like when I go sailing. I will record obviously that stuff in higher quality and carry on to do it, but just while I'm trying to get some of this footage out there to clear up some space, I probably will just upload this just in HD. To be honest, I'm not sure if many people watching more than HD anyway, but it's still, I still like to post the higher quality videos. So likewise, the bits where I've been talking, I'm talking into the webcam on the laptop, just trying to save a bit of space on memory. So again, thanks for watching, and this time I'm going. I'll see you next time.